Yeah. So okay, so now let's go back to 2018. You get the call, you're going over there. Were you? I mean, everyone thinks they're prepared for that stage, and the things that the players that have been there before as a Ryder Cup rookie, they tell you what to expect. They tell all of you this stuff, and then you get there. And the thing that I remember most about the opening hole in Paris was that stadium they put around the first tee was one of the more ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. Were
Well,
you ready for that stage? Or when you got to that stage, did it feel like, oh my God, this is unbelievable?
yeah, a lot of nerves. You're really nervous leading up to the week. Once you've been picked, I was extremely nervous as I prepared for it. And just trying to make sure that I was ready. But the day of, I wake up. I'll tell you a quick funny story. So in 2018, I know I'm going to be paired with Brooks, and Brooks had just come off winning a couple major championships, and so he's kind of the guy at the moment with the most majors over the last couple seasons on our team. And so once I know I'm going to be paired with Brooks, Jim is kind of roaming around in the practice rounds between groups, asking when do we want to go out, and I knew I was going to play best ball with Brooks. So me and Brooks have a chat and basically say we want to go first. Jim comes back to us and says, Jordan and JT want to go first, so you guys will go second. We're like, great, that sounds good. He goes back to Jordan and JT. They say, no, let Tony and Brooks go first. So anyway, so Brooks and I go out first. That night, Brooks announces to everybody, he says, hey, Tony's going to be hitting the first tee shot. And I looked at him and I'm like, no, you're going to hit the first tee shot. And he's like, no, I want you to hit the first tee shot. So that was really cool of Brooks to give me that opportunity. But I remember thinking to myself, this is going to be wild. I'm leading off the Ryder Cup. I'm a rookie. Yeah. And so anyway, it's a really cool honor that he gave me, but I couldn't sleep all night. And so we end up finishing this meeting. Everybody kind of, chuckles at me as they walk out. Tiger taps me on the shoulder and I look over and he looks at me and he's like, don't F it up, buddy. And then he just walks away. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy. So that added to the whole, I was nervous, and then that just took it to a whole nother level. Tiger was my golfing hero, golfing idol growing up. He was my era. So as a kid, so I was extremely nervous. I didn't really sleep all night. But I will say, when I woke up that morning, got to the golf course, got a golf club in my hand, and started doing my warm up. It was like riding a bike. I was ready to rock and ready to go. I wasn't nearly as nervous as I had imagined I would be over this tee shot, and I ended up just hitting a 300-yard 3-iron at 7 a.m, 50 degrees, right down the middle of the fairway. So that was pretty wild. But everything I remember from that was just that I've never seen this amount of people and felt this amount of energy on a tee shot. I couldn't feel my arms. In that situation, you just trust your swing. As long as the ball gets on the tee, I knew I was going to be all right. And so once I teed that ball off and hit that first tee shot, I actually was able to settle in. But there was no feeling like that first tee shot of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, and you guys, the thing about that cup that I remember is you guys started off great. You and Brooks beat Rose and Rahm 1-up, and then you guys took the first 3 matches. And after the morning session, it's 3-1. I'm like, okay, things are going great. And that was the only session that the Americans won for the rest of the cup. I mean, you got swept in the afternoon. That next session you lost 3-1, and then you split the other one, and then obviously the singles went the other way. So when did you guys realize, oh my God, this is really getting away from us here?
Yeah, I mean, Saturday afternoon, coming back from 4 points in a Sunday singles in the Ryder Cup is a tall task. That's the biggest margin of victory anybody's come back from. And we were down 4, I don't remember exactly, but we started to go down 4 or 5 points there Saturday afternoon. And that's when we knew, like, all right, we're going to have to do something special in singles to make this happen. But the thing about these team events that I know, when you have this many guys, this many great players, we all believe that we can come back from anything. We all believe we can win no matter what the odds are. And we believed that then. In 2018, I still remember like it was yesterday. All the guys, when we saw the singles matchups, we all looked at each other and said, look, we can do this. We can make this happen. But that's the thing that I feel like separates so many great players. Having been in these rooms, being around these guys, that 2018 Ryder Cup, I feel like on paper that U.S. team may be the strongest team on paper, like of all time. And I'm even looking at myself as probably the weakest link. And the other 11 guys, you start to name
Played
them.
great.
Hall of Famers, major champions. Obviously Tiger and Phil. So that team was an incredible team. So to have that be my first one, to have Tiger and Phil on the team, so many of my great peers that I got to get to know better. And the huge thing is that they respect you. You go out and win matches. You go out and prove that you can play under this immense pressure and win points for your team. I gained a lot of respect, I feel like, from my guys. I was able to have a winning record, one of only, I think, 3 guys at that Ryder Cup to have a winning record. And
Correct.
So that was huge for me and my confidence. And just, again, to gain the respect of these guys that I look up to, that I compete against, and just some of the best players that I've ever played.
All right, so the excitement of being named is then quelled by the disappointment. What did it feel like knowing we didn't get it done?
Yeah, I remember standing on the green and watching them celebrate, the Europeans on their home turf, everybody going crazy, and just soaking that in. And I knew I want to be on the next team and I want to win. That gave me more motivation than anything to make sure that I'm at the next Ryder Cup, because I want to be celebrating. I want to be a part of a winning team, and it stings. All 12 of us are captains. Nobody likes to lose, but I don't know anybody that's more competitive than those 11 guys that I played with in 18, and all wanting to be a part of that next team. So watching another team celebrate, knowing that they handed it to you and the way that they did, was a hard pill to swallow. Jim was an incredible captain. We had an incredible team. We had incredible vice captains. I mean, there's really nothing I can point at that, other than we just flat out got outplayed. And that stings as a competitor. You don't ever want that to be the case. It came down to execution, I feel like, more than anything else. And they out-executed us in 2018. And that's a hard pill to swallow when you feel like you have a team that can dominate and wasn't able to do that. So I made it a mission and a huge goal of mine to be on the other side of that the next time around.
Well, and you certainly were, and you had to wait a little longer because the 2020 Ryder Cup was postponed because of COVID, and you don't get out there to Whistling Straits until 2021. Steve Stricker is your captain in this situation. There was no doubt you were making the team at that point because of the way you had played leading up to that point. So what was it like getting together 3 years later and trying to sort of tell everybody, hey, man, we can't let this happen again, not on our turf?
Yeah, it was exactly that. But we had a whole different team. We had a lot younger team. They were fresh. They were hungry. And we were all, the camaraderie was fantastic. A lot of the older guys, I would say our 2021 team, a lot of the older guys had kind of weeded out. And so we had a bunch of fresh new guys. And I think that was a great thing for us in 2021. And so we had so many great players. And what I remember from that is just Strix was the kind of captain that was like, you guys go out and do your thing. I'm going to make this week easy for you. Not going to have a lot of obligations. I want you guys to have this be like a normal week, and you guys just go do your thing. And so, we obviously had, a guy, Scotty Scheffler. We had him before he went on this winning barrage, but we all knew that he needed to be a part of this team. And so, 2021 was so special, being a part of that team. Almost in a veteran role more so, because we had, I think, six guys that were rookies, 6 guys that were kind of looked at as veterans, and I was one of those veterans. And so to kind of take some of these guys I guess not really under my wing, but play alongside them, and somebody like Harris English, who I was able to play with and win a match with, for him, being in his debut Ryder Cup. He's a guy that's going to be on the Ryder Cup this year, but to kind of have him as my partner and do some special things with him was a lot of fun.
And it was sort of the exact opposite of what happened in Paris. You guys won the opening match, the Friday morning matches, and you didn't lose a single slate. So, I mean, you kept that momentum. How much was that preached to you guys, for the ones that were there in Paris, to realize, hey, man, one session is great, but that's not nearly good enough. We have to just, once we get that lead, we got to step on their necks, basically.
Yes, that's exactly right. You know, we were trying to steamroll them at the end of the day. It wasn't, we weren't going to be content with winning one session, winning two sessions. We wanted them all, and that was what Steve was preaching to us all week. Was we want to win every session, we want to win every match, and so go out, you know, no matter what the score is, and you know, step on their necks. You know, that, you said it. That's exactly that was exactly the message. And I remember hearing that from Strix, like, hey, this is a new day, this is a new session, this is a new match. Go out and handle business. So that's what he preached all week, and we were really able to do something special that week for sure.